What I learned about the peach stands is there's this collective memory in our minds about roadside stands and what it means to support local farms. And so it is like this neurological thing. Consumers are primed for this experience. They're advocates for local. They're advocates for mom and pop because it's all centered around this nostalgic experience of being iconically American. I discovered that these folks are raving fans. And so ding, ding, ding. All right, we're talking hyper local now. That's what started the idea of creating a community online so that those consumers who do follow us season after season, they have a place to go and share and be heard and return to and ask questions.
You're on a mission, and you just need more people to know about it. And whether you're brand new to marketing or a seasoned pro, we are all looking for answers to make marketing decisions with purpose. I'm Monica Pitts, a techie, crafty business owner, mom, and aerial dancer who solves communication challenges through technology. This podcast is all about digging in and going digital. I'll share my marketing know-how and business experience from almost 20 years of misadventures. I'll be your backup dancer, so you can stop doubting and get moving towards marketing with purpose. Hello again, and welcome back to Marketing with Purpose. My name is Monica Pitts, and I am your host and the lucky lady who gets to interview our guest today, Shannon Houchin. Now, Shannon has a really unique business model. She is a hyper-local marketer who sells nostalgia and peaches. Yay. Okay. And so when I heard this story, I thought, how does this work? How does someone in a small town set up multiple roadside stands across multiple states and make a living this way? So I invited Shannon on the show today so she can answer all these plethora of questions I have and teach us all more about hyperlocal marketing, selling nostalgia, and peaches. Yay! Okay, so Shannon, why don't you kick us off and just tell us your backstory? Like, how did you get here? Like, not maybe on the Marketing with Purpose show, but like, how did you get to opening a roadside stand selling peaches? It sounds like you had to have taken like some type of life leap in there.
Yes. So it was 2013, and my family owned a software development business, and my dad got sick. He got small cell lung cancer, and very quickly, he passed away because it's such an aggressive form of cancer. So during this period, I was having all of the, what is the meaning to life questions? What do I want to do with my life? And really assessing what was important to me and to my family. And I had this friend who for years kept telling me, he was born and raised in South Carolina. And so he kept telling me about his business as a reseller, selling peaches, South Carolina peaches, from these little white tents on the roadside. And I'm like, that's really cool, Rob, but that just doesn't seem to fit my lifestyle. I don't know whose lifestyle that fits, but it's probably not mine. And, for 5 years, I listened to his stories. And then finally, during this period of, what is life about and what is my life going to be about, I decided, I can take a breath and go down and check this out. So that was 2013. My son was 11 at the time. And so I went to South Carolina in order to learn the peach business. And so I became an apprentice, if you will. I had an internship, and I learned everything about the peach business from, planting the peach seed all the way up to being a reseller and selling it and marketing it. And at the end of the day, what is it really all about? Are we selling peaches, or, as you said, are we selling nostalgia? And that's exactly what we're doing. We're selling nostalgia and happiness. And that summer, what I learned, which became a business I'm still doing 10 years later, oh my gosh, even longer than that, here we are 12 years later, is that it was a business model, a cash generator that was screaming to be taken into the 21st century and kind of formalized. And what I like to say about the business is that it truly is an ATM machine. These little white tents that we sell tomatoes and peaches out of are ATM machines, and they have buttons on them, and you just punch in how much cash you want, and that's what you get. At the end of the day, at the end of the season. I did not know that going in. I heard my friend Rob, I call him the original peach guy. He told me how lucrative selling peaches was, and I don't know that I really believed him until I got into it. And that first year we generated, I didn't just do one roadside stand. I had to do 100 because, I'm super aggressive that way. And I'd have to look back at the records, but I think we did 3 million generating sales. So those were our gross sales the very first year we were in business. And since then, 12 years later, I've really refined the business model and got it down to a science. And what we did is created a business blueprint where we can do this over and over and over and over again. And it truly is the easiest thing in the world to sell. It's the happiest business I've ever been a part of. And all sides of the transaction, it doesn't matter if you're the consumer, the farm, the reseller, everybody's happy, because we truly are selling happiness. And at the end of the day, it's just a joy to be part of the business transaction. It doesn't matter what side we're on.
So I want to learn a little bit more about your business model. I mean, you have at least over 200 workers across 3 states. That, as a person who's just trying to hire one web designer right now, the idea of finding 200 people to help me run these peach stands. So sidestep, a lot of the people that work with me at May Create, we have a background in agriculture. We all grow things in our free time. So the idea of fresh produce and growing and selling, this sounds just amazing. I just want to put an exclamation point behind every sentence, because it really sounds really, really cool to someone who went to school to learn how to grow, and kill things. Because when you have a degree in agriculture, they teach you how to kill things too. But then there's the business side of it. So yeah. Okay. So first question is, do you grow your own produce? So it sounds like yes, kind of no. Huh?
I do not. I truly, truly wish that I had the talent and the skill and the grit and determination to be a grower, right? To be an orchard owner, to be a farmer. That's not where my skill lies. My skills in marketing and selling and identifying really good business opportunities. And what I found is that there is a huge, huge opportunity to be a reseller in this industry, in agriculture. And Monica, maybe you can speak to this too, but what I have discovered on this 12-year journey is that the orchards and the farms that are still independently owned, and most of the orchards in the U.S. are, for the most part, they're second, third generation now, orchard owners. In order to survive, most mom and pops are selling their entire harvest to wholesalers and brokers in order to guarantee that the whole harvest is going to be, sold, and they can negotiate prices up front. And so for me, as a general consumer, that lessens my opportunity to get local, fresh produce, because the mom and pops around me aren't selling to little guys like me. They're selling out to larger brokers and wholesalers. So as a reseller, I identified an opportunity. If I can fill that gap to get local produce directly to the consumer who may only be 5 miles away. They may be 25 miles away, but they're probably super close, but they just don't have that access to it. And I can fill that gap. So if I can either negotiate directly with the farmer, the orchard, or the grower, or if I have to go through the wholesaler and the broker, that's fine too. But the opportunity lies in getting the product to the neighborhood, getting it on the consumer's doorstep virtually, because their knowledge, their opportunity, their access to these local products is virtually gone. The roadside stand has, for the most part, because of what we just talked about, disappeared from American roadways. And so the last 10 years, 12 years, it's become kind of my mission now to return it, to return the roadside stand to American roadways, because consumers, people, Americans are so hungry for that experience, and it's gone. And if I can bring that back, there's so much joy in that transaction, and that's why it's so lucrative.
We do have one roadside stand in town, and it's at a very key intersection between two highways. And they're always selling produce, and they get it from local farmers, and we buy it from them because we know it's going to be better. My kids are literally waiting for the day that the Black Diamond watermelons come off of their truck and go into the stands on that. But I do notice that in America, we don't have nearly as much of that anymore. And when we traveled Costa Rica last summer, it was really normal to have it there. There were, all kinds of stands selling all kinds of stuff all the time. And then they also had what we called the vegetable van in one community that we stayed in. And they the whole outside of the van is covered in vegetables. And they just drive it up and down the main street of town yelling like an ice cream truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fresh pineapple, like over and over again. And I took a video of it because it was so novel and incredible. I was like, why don't we do this? This is so amazing. And everybody would just come out of their house and buy stuff from what we called the vegetable van, and it was just totally normal and really cool. Okay, so are your stands seasonal? I imagine that they are not open all year long, are they? They're just open in the summer?
Yes and no. So when I originally got started, I was selling one product, and it was peaches only. And the peach season is roughly Memorial Day to Labor Day. So we were really only open 3 months out of the year. As I expanded the business model and it evolved, we started incorporating other types of produce, which extended our window of seasonality. And so today, if I feel like it, if the mood strikes, we can be open from roughly March until December by extending the products that we sell. So obviously March, we can start selling berries because I'm in Texas. And so, strawberries are coming into season or being harvested now. So that's really when it kind of kicks off in March. Then peaches, and then other things are coming in, and then peaches are late May. And then since I'm a peach broker now, I'm bringing in peaches and curating peaches from all over the country. So once the peach season really ends in the South, we're moving west to the Mississippi, and then we're picking up peaches from Idaho, Utah, Colorado, and that can extend our season into late September, if we're lucky, early October. And then we're into pumpkin season. So we're doing lots of pumpkin patches. We do a lot of pumpkin patches. And then if we're still have the energy, then we're rolling into Christmas trees, and we're doing gift markets and, door wreaths and swags and all kinds of greenery. So, technically we could go all year long. I just take off for sure January and February because that's my CEO time. When I am working on the business and not in it, I'm really doing a lot of planning and strategizing, and then thinking about what is the next big element we're going to evolve or step into and, start putting that into place for the business. So technically, yeah, it depends on the person and what your bandwidth is, what your goals, what your schedule availability is like, and how much money you want to make.
So I could imagine that one important decision that you're making during your CEO time is that location. Like I said, ours is like the intersection of two major highways. And I say major highways. One of the highways literally goes through the middle of town. Okay, so it's not super major. Like I think that the speed limit is like 35 at that spot. Okay, so but it's still 4 lanes. So how do you decide where you're going to put your stands? And does that impact like the outcome?
Absolutely, it does. Because I would say 80% of the roadside stand business is impulse traffic, impulse stops. It's crucial that the location be high visibility, meaning you can see it from all directions, and that it be high motorist traffic. Or if you're more in an urban area, that you get a lot of high foot traffic. So over the years, I have developed a checklist, kind of criteria that I use when I am trying to identify good locations. And so high visibility, got to be able to see the stand from all aspects of an intersection, a roadway, because we don't do too much signage. We don't do really any paid advertising. We don't do a lot of marketing. Because 80% of the business is impulse, we invest in signage. And so we have a lot of colorful signage and flags that we put on our tent or above our tents so that it's visible from the roadway. And then we actually have a long list of locations that we're interested in. And we always check out the traffic counts with the Department of Transportation. So we're in Texas, so we go to TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation, and they have, car counts. They'll have, the devices at the intersections that are counting car traffic. And so we look at those to assure, oh yeah, that has a threshold we can work with, and we know that'll be a good location. So those are kind of two things that we look at. We also measure the available parking, in any one location. Can we get 5, 6, 7, 8 cars parked there at once? Is it easy for motorists to get in and out? Can people do a drive up? People love to do curbside service with us, especially, people that might have a disability, or, they're in a hurry, or it's just harder for them to get in and out of their vehicle. So people will do drive up service with us, and sure, we'll do curbside service, not a problem. So that's what we look at primarily. And then, of course, it has to be a spot where you can negotiate with the property owner. Since we're not a grower, we're not doing this on our property. We're co-locating for the most part with other businesses, because it helps our traffic if we are next to another business, which is a destination. So to give you an example, we love convenience store parking lots. We love big retail parking lots. One of our most popular locations is in a huge parking lot with a really popular pancake house. And so there's constantly 24-hour traffic in and out of that parking lot, which is good for us. So we negotiate with the landlord and just make sure their facility is available and get permission and all of that. So that's kind of how we identify. But yes, during this part of the CEO time, I'll have a list of maybe 20, 30 or more locations that are prospects. And then we start, going down our checklist to see if it meets all the criteria.
Okay, so friends, we need to listen to Shannon and maybe roll this into our own universe, right? So Shannon is talking about these roadside stands, and I know that not everybody's going to go out and start a roadside stand, but I'm 5 seconds away from stopping web design and selling peaches here. But just because it sounds like so much fun. But let's say that you're doing a fundraiser for your nonprofit, or you're thinking about adding another location to your business. So I think that all these tips that Shannon just gave us are all great things for choosing a new location for your business, or for a bake sale or a car wash, or any type of fundraiser that you're doing for your school or organization. She was talking about how we need to remember that these are impulse buys, so it has to be really easy for people to get in and out of the parking lot. We have to have it clearly labeled and have signage and flags, so that way people know what you're doing and you catch their attention. You can check traffic counts with the Department of Transportation, check for parking, and that people love roadside or curbside service. And I can even see that with young kids. You know what I mean? You've got a baby sleeping in the back seat. It's summertime.
Yes.
That would make life so much easier. And then she also suggested co-locating next to destinations. Her example was a pancake house, but I'm sure now when you guys are driving down the street, you're going to be seeing these things with this checklist. I hope that you're identifying them so that way you can find great locations to help you guys grow your businesses and organizations. That was great advice. This is exciting. Okay. So then you said that 80% of your business is impulse buys. Mm-hmm. So that means that 20% is return business. Mm-hmm. But even the impulse buyers, they may have seen you before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have people coming back to you. So how do you get the word out about your stands? You said that you use a thing that you call hyper local marketing. And I know that you
Yes.
said that the signs and the flags work really, really well. And you know what? I see them all over my town. Actually, I did not know that flags were a thing until I came to this town. Now I am notified when football games are by the flags. I am notified. Like I have went to one, I love secondhand like shopping. I went to one store, like I kid you not, 5 times, and they've been closed every time. And then the flags were out. I didn't know that the flags were the only, like without the flags, they're just literally not open. So don't stop by.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a thing.
Yes.
Who knew?
Yes.
So hyperlocal marketing. Tell me all about it.
Yes. So, part of what I discovered in this, I have a very deep background in marketing, ad agency work, copywriting. I'm an award-winning journalist from way back, so a storyteller. What I learned about the peach stands is because it's such a nostalgic experience. There's this collective memory in our minds about roadside stands and what it means to support local farms. And so everybody's primed. Like it is like this neurological thing. People are primed, consumers are primed for this experience. And therefore they're very, they're advocates for community. They're advocates for local. They're advocates for mom and pop because it's all centered around this nostalgic experience of, being iconically American. Support mom and pop, support farmers, do your part, buy local. And I discovered that these folks are raving fans. And they are fierce advocates of the community. And so ding, ding, ding. All right, we're talking hyper local now. And so that's what started the idea of creating a community online so that those consumers who do follow us season after season, they have a place to go and share and be heard and return to and ask questions. So we began to build a very large community online so that those who had found us knew where to go to stay in touch with us. And people who may be outside our immediate like mileage radius could find us. So now we have folks where we're centered at. They're coming, from as far as 25 miles away, for example. Pardon me, they're coming from outside our normal radius. So some folks they would not be impulse stops because they may not be in that vicinity, but now they're coming because they know who we are. And we have just spread our message so well, like through Facebook and Instagram. Email marketing. We do a lot of email text messages. So people opt into those campaigns. But we've spread the message so well online now that it's shared content, that it's high value content. And so it's very easy. Our reach increases year after year after year, thanks to social media, and people are finding us easy. So they will drive and find us. Now, saying that, in fostering this type of online community, we are increasing the lifetime value of a customer. So it's not just that $25 impulse stop purchase. Now, because of the sales techniques we use and the storytelling, we've taken that impulse $25 transaction, and through upselling and storytelling, we elevate it to about $65. But that customer then comes back maybe 5 times over the season. And now we've increased the lifetime value of the customer because they're finding us online. They're staying in touch. They know what we have. They know, okay, Pecos cantaloupe are in season. The sangria watermelon have come in. And so they'll come back, they'll return to, buy those products. And then next season, they're returning because we're staying in touch with them. So in tapping into this raving fan base and building community around the cultural identity of an area increases the lifetime value of your customer, because you're not just selling peaches. You are promoting this cultural identity of this place and what it means to be a part of it. And so the consumer feels that they're supporting us, and we are supporting them in bringing to them the products and services that have meaning to them. So it becomes, again, this kind of win-win-win transaction. So we don't just sell peaches. We talk about other local fairs and festivals. We talk about other businesses. We share recipes. We talk about colleges and high schools, and we talk about kids. We talk about wildflowers, what season we're in. So we share these concepts and traditions and meanings that resonate with people locally. And then also we sell some peaches.
And when you say you share those things, are you sharing them in your online community, or are you sharing them like in your individual stands? Does that make sense?
Yes. So primarily we are sharing it in the online community. And I try to be as genuine and real as possible. So, I want us to have I want this business, Roadside Republic, and our roadside stands to have a human face. And so across every stand, I will online introduce the people, the workers who are there. And mostly now they're high school and college students. And so I will introduce them, and that our raving fan base online then has a buy-in. They're invested because now it's Walker's getting ready to go to college. And so he's going to CU Boulder. And so now all the moms and dads in the community are coming out specifically to buy peaches, but they're going to talk to Walker about his college experience coming up. So it becomes this extended family in essence, because we put a face on it. So it's not just me selling peaches. Here are these, 25, 50, 75 kids who are in the school system and about to go to college. And so the community supports them by supporting us.
So, question on your online community. Now, some people would define an online community as people who are going to like a specific site, like a Facebook group or maybe their website. But then other people define an online community as like the collective group of people that they communicate with online through whatever medium that person wants to communicate on digitally. So what is your definition of your online community?
I would say, it's multi-channel. It's all of it, including like an email campaign, because we have such an exceptional conversion rate on our email campaigns, because we're talking to the community specifically about what's going on and that is of high value to them. We've built such a large following on our Facebook business page that's primarily where we talk to people. And Facebook introduced, I think it was called channel connections last year. So you can opt into the channel that's on the business page, and then we're talking directly to all of the people who are inside that channel. So it's almost like a Facebook group, but a little bit different. So that's where most of the discussion is going on, is on our Facebook business page. And then, of course, we have Instagram, which people are participating in. And now we're on TikTok and, some other places like that. But that's where it's coming from. And over the past probably 2 or 3 years. And then, of course, we have a website. So last year we opened up online orders and deliveries. So now people can go to our website, see everything that's available, and they can order for online delivery if they're too far away and can't get to us in time. So those are all of the channels that we've opened up for conversation. And believe it or not, even on the website, it's so cool. I have people sending me, they're communicating through Square, which is the online point of sale system. So they're communicating back with me to tell me how much they love products. Or sometimes they're telling me how much they don't like things, which I'm like, thank you for giving me that opportunity to correct something that was not up to the standard, which, we want to be. So there's communications on all channels, and we try to be responsive as possible. And so we may be actually, yes, talking to people on 5 different channels or platforms in a single day. So it does get, you got to make sure we're monitoring all of them, but that's where people just feel seen, heard, and understood, because we take it super, super serious, and we respond to their, to their desires, to their goals. And we want, and we state our singular goal in this business is to make people happy. That's it. Bottom line, that's it.
So with your stands, they're all spread out, right? And you gave the example of, you have college students and high school kids working these stands. This sounds like something that my 13-year-old would get all into. Believe it or not, I couldn't figure out how she was making money. I'm like, how do you always have money right now? Because I don't give you money. You're getting money somehow. She's taking the money that she gets for her birthday and Christmas. She's investing it in gum, and then she sells the gum back to her classmates at $2 a piece.
Oh, good girl.
Like,
good girl.
And then she got some treats for Christmas that she didn't like. So she sold them to her classmates. And then she reinvests the money back into product and resells it. And I'm like, oh, girl, this is crazy. And so her grandma sent her $5 for Easter. And she's like, Mom, that's like a pack and a half of gum. You know how much money I can make off this thing? And I'm like, you're so funny. Okay, so where was I going with that? I was going with keeping it local and keeping it authentic. And I know making sure that people know the people that are operating your stands makes it super authentic. And then when you take that online, obviously you can do individual posts about those people. But do you have individual Facebook pages or individual Facebook channels for the different stands, or because there's a lot of people, let's say that you operate a construction company and you've got multiple locations, or you're a nonprofit, you have multiple different parts of your nonprofit, right? And they're always like, should I just have a page for each one? What do I do? And I'm like, I build websites. I don't know.
Yes.
So I asked you.
Yes. So that is absolutely a great question. So what we started doing, because we do have so many stands and we're popping in, not only do we have our semi-permanent stands, which that's what I call them, because they go up in May and then they come down in September. So they're open 7 days a week, from May 15th to September 5th, for example. So those are, locked in for 3 or 4 months. But then we're popping up all over the place. And we have our mobile farmer stand, which is a truck that goes into neighborhoods and sells. So we're all over the place.
The vegetable
so what
van.
I started doing, yeah. So what I started doing is I book out events. So I forgot which day of the week, every Sunday or Monday, I will go into our Facebook business page and I'll try to schedule out a week or two. These are all the locations that we have booked for the next week or two. And so people can go refer to those events and see the street address. They can see, the date, the times, etc. So I do that. And then every morning, I try to, because we actually have trucks that go around and do fulfillment to the stands. So we drop off peaches every day. And we drop off a cash money bag every morning for the kids to open the stands. So we're there. So I'll take photos and I'll say, hey, Walker's at Old South today. Or, we're at the Watauga Artisan Market. Go visit Hughes. So I let everybody know visually where we're at, and then they can look at our calendar of events too to see where we're at. So and then I will actually do a graphic. Here's the calendar at a glance. So if you're not clicking on our events, you can just go to the graphic and see the next week visually where we're at.
I love it. And I'm sure you're sending some of this stuff out via email too, so that way people can get it
Yes.
via email. All of us email junkies like myself. One of my teachers, one of my daughters, all of the communication from her school comes via email, and then the other one of my daughters, all of it comes via this app. And the only way I know that something's going on is that one of the other moms tells me, or my daughter tells me. I'm like, I'm so not an app person. Email me, friends. I am not going to be mad at you. I'm going to love you for it. So I bet you have a lot of folks like me on that list that they love your emails, so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so A few more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up here. Go ahead.
Monica, I was going to tell you, you mentioned your daughter and the gum.
Yeah.
So when my son Finnegan, he's 21 now, and he was 11 when we started the peach business. So he's been working in it 10 years with me. And when he was 17, we ran a social experiment, and we documented it all on social media, particularly our Facebook business page. But he took his $200 from birthday money, Christmas, etc. He went and bought like $200 worth of peaches, and he had a table. The only supplies he had was what we had in the garage. So he took a table, he had a chair, an umbrella, and he hand wrote a sign. And that's how he started his peach stand, with $200. And then the equipment that was in the garage. So the very first day, of course, he sold through that $200. And then so he's sitting there with like $600-700. He went back, bought another load of peaches, sold through that. And so within a week, he had flipped that $200 into $1,500 worth of net profit. And he had all his capital investment to then go buy the big tent, to buy all the materials and supplies and equipment and signage that he really needed. So he was in profit, plus he had his capital startup cost. And that was just with $200 in 7 days. And then within 30 days, his little $200 investment in inventory, he was then buying $6,000 worth of peaches. So that's how quick, just in one stand, you can snowball your business with $200. So I love that. I love that determination and, grit that your daughter's got going there.
Yeah, she's excited about it. She just wants to buy more like body sprays from Sephora. That's her whole motivation. And we had a really long talk at the beginning of the school year, because she likes nice things, and she's 13. She's going to start driving in 3 years. And I was like, honey, because she keeps pointing out these cars that she wants. And I was like, I'm not buying you that car. Like, me personally, not buying it. No. And so she's like, but that's what I want. And I was like, okay, well then let's sit down. Let's talk about how we can use what you've got, like work through the summers, invest your money, and get you to the point where you have the money that you want to buy the car that you want, but also know that you're going to need some money for college. And so then we talked our way through it. And then she got pretty motivated to figure out, once she understood how she could stack it all together and make it work and make money. And now she's like, I need to start putting my money in the market, Mom. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Because even $20 a week right now, or $20 a month right now, is going to yield a lot by the time you're 65, right? So
yeah, and that's what a lot of the college kids who are working for us. So over the summer, I teach kids also how to do this. So they can work for us, of course, for an hourly rate, but then they can own their own peach stand. So kids can make, if they're doing in-state tuition, they can make enough money over a single summer season to pay all of the tuition for an academic year, and then living expenses. So a kid off of one peach stand, they can be net profit, $30,000, $25,000 to $40,000 is usually one stand if it's run really well. That's the net profit that they can make. That's an entire year of tuition.
That's incredible.
And living expenses.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people work full-time jobs and they don't make that. And so to make it over a summer is super incredible. Which leads me to the question that I've been dying to ask this whole time. How do you find these humans? These cool humans because it sounds like they're showing up for work and they're actually doing their job, and that they're trustworthy with your produce. They're trustworthy with the cash bag. Let's be real. Some kids aren't, right?
Yes.
How do you find all these people? I got to know.
I think that was kind of an accident as well. What I discovered is that, so when you're creating these raving fan bases, and they then become an extended family, everybody's invested. And so every year we put out the word about this time of year, peach season's getting ready to start. We're hiring, we're recruiting, and word spreads like wildfire among the community. And I will have 200 applications, and we do it very informally. It's just like, send me a message, And so we'll get like 200 people who want a summer job. And I work with a ton of parents. So if these are kids, if they're high school kids or college kids, I am talking to their parents, because when you're employing kids, I want it to be a really good and safe environment for everyone. And I want parents to feel comfortable with us too, and what the kids are doing, because most of the time it's just one kid at a stand. And so we want to make sure everybody has a good experience. If it's really busy, we have 2 kids at a stand. So we're sending out messages, pardon me, on Facebook. And then we are sending it to parents groups. So those local parents groups, which are really active and the parents are involved, we're sending messages there, because we know that that's going to be a good place for parents who are advocates in the community. It's, an advocacy group as well. And what I mean by that is just championing kids, and looking out for them and making sure that they have a really good experience. And so when I get all of this feedback, I set up like a really big meeting. So we'll show up at one of the stands, for example, that's already open, and a bunch of kids will show up, and then we'll walk them through. This is a day in the life. This is how it goes when you're working a stand. Sometimes parents show up, but mostly it's just kids, and then they bring their friends. So now we've got, 50 kids at a training. And so everybody's watching how it's like to work at a stand. And then I will chat with the kids. I can talk to their parents if I can. And then if they're game, then they'll come on board with us and sit with other kind of OGs, to work the stand for a day or so. And that's how it goes. We don't ever advertise for employees or seasonal workers, contractors. We just put the word out on our fan pages, and we get tons of people. We do pay really, really well, though. I will say that we make it worthwhile. We guarantee $20 an hour for these kids, and we allow them to take tips as well. So the kids then become really incentivized. If they don't own their own stand, they become incentivized to learn how to sell, to learn how to be engaging, to learn how to talk to people and tell a story, right? And they become little experts in what they're selling. And it's real fun to watch them do this. And then, sometimes we have little competitions, who's doing the best sales today or this week. And so the kids, these little kids are making $35 an hour sometimes, or more, if they're really good at what they're doing.
Well, it sounds like you've got a really cool thing going on. So my last question for you is, so I'm sure that there's people who are listening and they have starry eyes right now, and they're like so excited by all of the success that you've found, because it's always so incredible to hear like how someone else does something and how it works, right? But there's a lot of them that are like, but I don't have this online community of people. I don't have this. So what advice would you give them as a marketer yourself? Like if they don't have all the stuff that they need right now, what advice would you give them to get them where you are today?
What I would say about this opportunity, and when I say opportunity, I'm talking about opening your own roadside stand or your pop-up shop, right? Selling produce. The barrier to entry is so low, and the capital investment is so low. Like you can do it for $200, but the rewards are so enormous. And you don't have to be a grower. You don't have to grow your own produce. You don't even have to know a lot about produce. You don't have to have experience in this industry to get started. You just have to be a really engaging, hardworking person, because I'm not going to lie, it's some hard physical labor to do what we're doing, because you're moving 25-pound boxes and you're working in the heat. We're doing 10 hours a day, all day long, 10 hours a day in the Texas heat. So it's real labor. It's legit hard work, but it's so profitable and it's so rewarding. And because the barrier to entry is so low, anyone can do it. And on top of that, the huge bonus is because 80% of your customer base is first-time customers. They're impulse. You don't have to have an online following. You can grow that as you go. That comes with time, that comes with experience. And the longer you're open and get word out, you'll get bigger online and then start driving destination traffic. But the first time you're open, you're all you have to do is be visible, and you're going to get business. And because consumers are so primed for this experience, it's not a hard sell. You don't have to market hard. You just have to show up, put out a flag, and be visible and be engaging and listen to people when they come to your stand, because they want to chat. They want to tell you about their childhood, about their memories, about their experiences with farms and produce and peaches and, what it means to be American. So that's what I mean. The barrier is so low, and there are all of these built-in incentives and guardrails. There are bumpers on this opportunity that keep you profitable. I mean, you can't lose when you sell peaches. Mm-hmm. You can't lose.
I think that's great advice for people considering starting a roadside stand, but just great advice for people in general is that sometimes you got to go for it. You don't have to have everything all squared away before you get started, but understanding where you're going can be a really big part of getting there. Just like you said, you can start with your $200 and, if you're in the right location, you did a little bit of homework, you figured out where you were going to start with your investment, be smart with it, but then also know, hey, I want to get people's emails when they check out, or, but yes, I agree with you. I think that the soft skills that these workers are developing are probably even more impactful on their lives than the money that they're getting right now. Like, the money is really important, but the ability to have a conversation with somebody and be able to engage them and listen and be active and be responsible and show up for work every day. And this is worth a lot. Like, this is something that will allow them to move forward with their lives and use it every single day. Because, my kids aren't rocket scientists, but they can talk to people. So I feel like they're going to be employable someday, right? Like, this is my goal.
Right. If you know how to communicate verbally and in the written word, you're good.
You're good. Awesome. So, where can listeners find you? Let's say they want to connect with you online. Where is your community? What's your information?
Yes. Our central hub is roadsiderepublic.com. And then from there, we have, all of our socials listed. Our business, and we're Roadside Republic on Facebook as well. And I like to tell people, if you want to see us in action, so we have Roadside Republic, which is kind of the academic part where we are teaching people how to do this. We have a whole evergreen course that we sat down during COVID because we had time. And so we documented every process, every checklist, every procedure, every training mechanism. So that's all documented in an evergreen course now, which is available on our website. But then if you want to see like a real live business, in process, you can go to Facebook, and we are the Roadside Stand. And that's our local business where we are still actively selling produce and peaches all across the state of Texas. Well, so you can watch us in action.
If I get down to Texas, which, we thought about going to the, there's a concert with Miranda Lambert and Chris Stapleton. And we were like, we should go. And then we nixed it because it was the same week that school started. I didn't think that was going to be a good plan with my little kids starting school. But if I get down to Texas, I'm totally going to check out your stands. And friends, Thank you so much for hanging out with Shannon and I today. I had a great time. I love learning about all different types of business, and this is one that I haven't learned about before. So I feel like my eyes are very much opened, and you're doing an amazing job. So friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And if you subscribe to the podcast, then you'll get a notification about next week's episode too. Next week, we're going to talk about blogging. Yeah, I know. It's riveting. We're going to go from this amazing success story all the way over to this technical thing, blogging. It's going to be a Q&A session. We're going to answer questions like, is it dead? Like, do you even need to do it? How often should you do it? Do you have to do it? And more. So subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. And thank you so much for joining us today. Until next time, go forth and market with purpose.